All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Yes, the Bomb and Phantoms. This is the last day I'm going to put up with that Bomb and Phantoms joke. I'm very excited. I'm very honored to be here. I know this is supposed to be about like Kevin and Jay, but keeping with Hollywood tradition, I'd like to make it about me. You know, appropriate. You know, when I came out to LA in the early '90s, I was a struggling actor, and I couldn't even
Can you even speak? Project.
There we go. It's back. So I came out to LA. I was a struggling actor, and I was sort of awkward and big and goofy looking, and I guess I must have been kind of off-putting because I couldn't even get an audition for like the leading roles of anything. But every time some project showed up, the casting director would be like, "They're not interested in you for any of the main parts, but there is a kind of a douchey, unpleasant villain that we think you would be right for." And so I played that part in School Ties. I was the douchey anti-Semite. Dazed and Confused, I was the annoying villain who chased people around with a paddle. And then one director had the singular vision to cast me as the annoying, douchey guy with the suit in Mallrats, for which I will be forever grateful. One of them was the director of the movie. He was a guy who could not stop talking about himself. And the other one was the director's friend, who had only ever acted one time before in a black and white movie called Clerks. And the two of them had a kind of a special relationship that I couldn't quite figure out. They were either brothers or best friends or a surrogate father and a wayward son or possibly husband and wife. You know, they were sweet, but they cursed like sailors, to be honest. In fact, this is a true story. I subsequently did a USO tour and was taken on an aircraft carrier, and the XO said, you know, some of these guys curse like Jay and Silent Bob. So, the off-screen dynamic they had was really kind of adorable because, you know, in the movies, the big one followed the little one around, but in real life, the little one followed the bigger one around all the time. So whether they were working or not, they were kind of always together, like Snoopy and Woodstock by way of Bill and Ted, sort of, or Bert and Ernie by way of Cheech and Chong. They were loyal to each other for whatever reason, and suddenly they were loyal to this guy from Boston who they barely knew, and they made me part of their View Askew family. And the little one would say kind of nonsensical things like snoogans and snoochie boochies and call people used guys. And the bigger one would say nonsensical things like, Mallrats gonna make $100 million. It's only off by 98 million. Even more nonsensical, he said, I'm gonna make you the lead of my next movie. And they may say a lot of nonsensical things, but they don't bullshit. And I did get a big role in the director's next movie, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And for a while, I really feel like we were like Scorsese and De Niro. You know, if none of Scorsese and De Niro's movies got critical acclaim, or made any money, or got any awards, and we're all set in New Jersey. So his little friend was kind of our Joe Pesci character, the motor mouth clown who amused everybody, but who you kind of knew was somehow secretly sort of a genius. And we built our careers together while laughing and learning about the movie business. We dreamed our dreams together until a lot of them came true, and it was really the most fun I ever had making movies. Absolutely the least profitable, but the most fun for sure. In fact, you know, I really owe Kevin for starting my own career off as a filmmaker. When I was doing Mallrats, I kept telling him how I was, you know, me and my friend, we wanted to write the script, and, you know, I finally got the courage up and asked him to read it. And I flew out of town, I came back, and he pulled me aside and he said, I want you to know, I started reading your script on the toilet. I said, thank you. And he was, I didn't get off until I finished it. Which turns out was Kevin's highest form of praise. But he was very encouraging. The idea that like some guy with no connections and no money and no, in my case, education to speak of, could actually like get a movie made and have something to say and make a contribution. And he's an executive producer on that movie. And my really principal main regret about the Oscars and that whole movie is that on Oscar night I neglected to thank Kevin because I was kind of overwhelmed, and there really would be no Good Will Hunting script, certainly wouldn't have gotten made without him. So I want to take this opportunity to remedy that pretend that I'm on the stage at the Oscars and say, thank you, Kevin Smith, very, very much.
Sorry. Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm like throwing it back there. I can hear, wow, sorry. Me and Kevin are both back there crying. Sorry, the sweet things Ben and Harley both said is really amazing. Being here is super surreal for me because, I mean, who would have, like I would have never thought that I'd be able to put my handprints in here. Like Ben said earlier, like I walk by and you see big, huge names here. And so for me to find out when they told me that I was getting my handprints in the cement out here was, I don't know, it's still like floating over, but I don't know. I'm not the wordsmith here, Kevin is, but I do want to say, man, you'll see, it's funny because he talks more than me in real life, and in the movies, you know, I talk. But I do want to say thank you to Ben and Harley. Harley had me crying back there, which wasn't a good start, because I'm like, how am I going to get out there and say anything sweet? But I do want to thank, you know, I owe this all to Kevin. It's like Kevin saw me, 13-year-old kid, hanging around the community center and said, wow, this kid has a weird sense of humor and says funny things. And when he wrote his script, Clerks, he thought to write me in there. And then he wrote me in the next movie, even though the studio fought him on it and made me audition, he still fought for me. And then put me in the next movie, and it wasn't something I planned on doing was movies, because I just thought like, oh, one day I'm gonna own my own roofing business and I'm gonna be somebody. And I don't have like my family history. I've talked about a lot of my podcasts and stuff. And I mention that because like my mom was in and out of jail, and I live with my grandma, my aunt, and all this. But the reason I mention that is because Kevin not only like put me in a movie and became someone I looked up to, became my friend, but then he let me into his family, which, you know, I got to see Harley be born, and his wife Jen, they took me in, and then I got to meet Gail and Byron, who were another extension of my family, and it really helped me stay on course, even when I had some troubles with the drugs and stuff. Like he was always there for me, and I really owe everything to Kevin. You know, the movies and just being around, because he was always there to help me out and support me. And then my wife, I met my wife, Jordan Monsanto, and she's been a big, strong part of me trying to, you know, stay on the straight and narrow, because then we had a kid. Her name's Logan. I wanted to bring her today, but my wife wouldn't let me. I wanted to sneak her handprint in the handprint thing, but anyway, I appreciate everyone for being here, man. This is such a big deal and so surreal to me. If you told me I'd ever get this, I would tell you you were a liar. And it's amazing. And thank you, Kevin, Harley, Ben, Jen, and Gail and Byron, and Jordan, and everyone else. This is awesome. Now I'm going to let this guy talk.
First off, I want to thank everybody for showing up today. I really want to thank Ben and Harley for amazingly kind words. Did anybody else notice that we were lucky enough to get both Batman and Harley Quinn to intro us? Makes a lot of sense in my world. Ladies and gentlemen, to understand what this moment means to me and my family, I got to take you back to the 70s. My father, Don Smith, was a postal employee, and he married this woman, a Jersey girl named Grace, who's here somewhere. There's my mom. My mom's here today. They had 3 kids, Virginia, Donald, and Kevin. I was the last kid. I was born on my brother's birthday, August 2nd. He was born 66. August 2nd, I was born August 2nd, 1970. Interestingly enough, my sister was born on August 10th, like a year before my brother. So we were all born in August, which means my parents really like to fuck in November. Election fuckers. So,
Who was president?
So Don Smith didn't really want for much. I asked him once when I was a kid, like, hey, what were your dreams when you were young, Dad? Like, what did you want to do? And he was like, I wanted to get married and have kids. And so his dreams happened early on. His career wasn't about what made him feel good in life or fulfilled. He's had to get a job to pay for what made him feel good in life, what made him feel fulfilled, his wife and his kids. And we were, I'd like to say, lower middle class and stuff. But my mom was a financial whiz who could make a buck stretch. And because of that, even though we were poor, we would go on vacations. That was important to my dad because he worked at the post office. And if he didn't go on vacations, he might have went postal and shit. So he never did. We were very proud of him for that. He would go on these vacations and he would take us places that meant something to him. And he took us here in 1979. My family got on a train from New Jersey. Me, my mom, my dad, my brother and sister, and came to Hollywood because I loved the movies. I loved TV, I loved the movies, I loved Hollywood when I was growing up. And that was what we shared, me and my father. You know, it was like he told my mom, the fat one likes movies, I'm gonna do movies with him and stuff. So he would take me to the movies all the time and lean into my fascination with the movie business, even though we were the furthest thing in the world from it in New Jersey. So we came here to the courtyard in 1979 and walked around for an hour looking at all the footprints and the handprints, and naturally there were some that were older than I would remember, and my father would explain who they were. You know, my brother and I knelt in front of R2-D2, C-3PO, and Darth Vader's footprints, and my dad took a picture of us, although my sister says she took the picture, so I don't know if memory's foggy, but I do remember this. My old man, he was not like the chattiest guy in the world and stuff, but every once in a while he would say something that like deeply impacted, and since he was my dad, and since all parents are God to a child, everything he said at that age impacted, particularly when we were here in Hollywood. He'd taken us to Hollywood, and here we were standing amongst all the stars and the legends. We took the picture, my old man, as we're going through all the footprints and shit, my old man says 6 stupid fucking words, 6 stupid things that you say to a fucking kid when you're at a baseball field, if they're into baseball or any sports, or if there's some place where they have a vague interest in it and stuff. My old man was looking at the footprints, and he saw me looking at the footprints, put my hands in the handprints and stuff, and he said this stupid shit that you just say to a kid, pass the time, nice thing to say. He goes, maybe you'll be here one day. He didn't mean it, he wasn't planning it, he wasn't planting a seed. We had no path to this world whatsoever. It's just some stupid shit that you say to your kid to pass the time. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to be careful of the stupid shit you say to your kids. Sometimes it takes deep root. Because of that, I've been telling my kid since she was a child, you know, one day you'll be a billionaire who'll finance all my movies and shit, just in case it fucking worked like it did on me. The last time me and my mom and my brother and my sister were in this courtyard was with my dad in 1979. It's 40 years from that moment when my father said it. This is what's left of my father, ladies and gentlemen. This is some of his ashes. This is the first time in 40 years my whole family is back together again in this courtyard, and I couldn't imagine a better fucking reason for it. Thank you, Dad.
Fellas, look up while you sign.
Right in the middle, fellas. Look up in the middle. I'll be honest, it's hard. No pressure.
Multitask.
It's gonna dry.
Hey!
Mom says no curse words.
Alright, both you guys in the center, right in the center, fellas.
And just to the side, if you would. Right side, fellas.
And right above in the middle, guys.
Coming back.
Big smiles, right side, right side.
Guys, right in the center, right in the center. Guys,
Right side, fellas, right side.
look up, look up, look up. Guys,
Big smile, right side, right side. The other right. Congratulations, dirty hand.
right in center, guys.
Patty cake, patty cake.
Get your hands.
Ta-da. I've done this a time or two.
Quite a few. Not your first game.
Uh-oh. Need smaller shoes. Ta-da! Almost.
All right, and look up in the center, fellas. In the center.
And one time to the right, fellas. There you go.
Right in the center, fellas. In the center. Guys, right here. Thanks for coming.
On cue. People gotta talk.
Get over, fellas. You're in the middle of it.
There you go. Come up
Right in the
close.
center, fellas. Right in the center.
And the other line.